Is also a professor of journalism at the University of Maryland, a Russia scholar, author of Russia and the Russians Inside the Closed Society. We are really pleased to have you here, and it would be great if you could kick off sort of our reactions, share your impressions, perhaps an anecdote from your days with David working in the Soviet beat. I'll turn the mic on here and give you these.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. First of all, with you all here in this great hearing room. And it's also a great honor for me to be here again with David Satter. We have known each other since we met completely by serendipity in the newsroom of the Washington Post in 1967. That's quite a bit of time ago. We've had a lot of time together since then, and I'm very pleased to say he's now a consultant to Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, as we work with the Russian service and the other 27 other language services to bring us firmly into the digital age, the age of multimedia. This film of David's, to me, is tremendously powerful, not just about the past, but about what we face going forward in dealing with the aftermath of the collapse of the Soviet Union, which is not obviously anywhere near its end. The radios that I'm now part of, once again, deal with these kinds of issues in the present day in the same way as we see it here today. There are millions upon millions of people in the former Soviet Union who know things about what had happened in the immediate past, that unless these realities are brought forward and others can hear them, unless they can be borne witness to across the societies in all their variations and cultures, the future is going to be very perilous for them and consequently for I believe, for the national security interests of all of democracies. And we are not immune to the issues that still need to be addressed in that part of the world. And there is no reason for us, no rational reason for any of us here today, drawn together to look at this film, which is a witnessing of the past, but the power of it is in the present. The moral of this tale is we must understand what has happened. We must dig deep as we can. And as a friend of David's and a great admirer of his work, I honor him for the work he's done to bring this forward in such, to me, in such a very powerful and irresistibly persuasive way. Those are the remarks I have. David, thank you.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Perhaps if just before Kevin goes, does anyone want to ask maybe one question directed to him? Because he actually has a very crowded schedule here and has got to leave us. We'll then, I hope, entertain questions from on all subjects about the film, about the fall of the Soviet Union, about Russia today, anything you want to ask, or anything you're interested in.
We have a mic here if anyone has a question for Kevin Klose before he has to leave us.
I'm sorry, I should footnote that I spend most of my time now in Prague, which is where Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty is headquartered. My time in Washington is relatively short, and so I'm really apologetic for having agreed to be here with you and then finding that my schedule is not going to let me do that. I want to thank you all for coming, and the questions you have.
I think there was.
Oh, there's one.
There is
a
question.
Yeah, please.
Yes.
Sure, that'd be great.
Please.
Hi, I'm Shelley Hahn with the Helsinki Commission.
Yes.
I was interested in hearing, and please excuse my ignorance if this is something that's obvious, but what is your agency doing to help document what happened and perhaps creating that record and sharing that record with the citizens?
It's a very good question. We are, as you may know, we're a private nonprofit, private corporation formed in the early 1950s. We're a grantee of the U.S. government, and we're an independent source of uncensored news and information into the region of the former Soviet Union and parts of Eurasia. First of all, we were very pleased prior to my return to the radio's management in the immediate past supported the production of this documentary and assisted David with a great deal of technical support and production support, which is also a matter of creativity and intellectual continuity to bring to hundreds of hours of tape that he has of his interviews. For us directly, I can tell you, for example, just in the past week, we were able to do live video from the courtroom where Navalny was first convicted, then handcuffed, and marched off to detention, and the next day released in the same courtroom, in the courtroom in Kirov, 1,000 kilometers from Moscow. In the day that he was, the day of the conviction, when there were demonstrations, they weren't huge, but they were tense on the streets of Moscow. We were there also with live video coverage, fully uncensored and fully made available to anyone who wished to use the content, which I will say to you was used in part by some independent-minded Moscow television channels which cut away to take live coverage and fully credit Liberty, Radio Liberty's Russian service for bringing this to them. They were not covering it themselves. In addition, more than 14, or I think more than a dozen services at Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty also used live excerpts and produced excerpts afterwards to put out to their listeners, their viewers, their readers, and their internet interlocutors. And I think that's the wave of the future, and we've been and that is attesting and bearing witness to history being made today, and that is what we do very powerfully. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, again for joining us today, and our hats are off to you and all your colleagues at Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, covering this part of the world. The coverage is great. The coverage has been indispensable, and it's really something I look forward every morning to the emails and the updates and the news stories that are posted on the site. Really top-notch journalism. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to be here. Forgive me, I beg your pardon, and I'll be, if there's another screening and I'm here, I'll come back. Thank you very much.
Thanks again. Thank you.